Hello, a very good morning. Welcome along to Ireland AM on Virgin Media 1. It is Wednesday, the 19th of July.
And we have got, as always, so much in store with everything from parenting to a pop princess.
But first, if you hadn't spotted it, temperatures continue to rise right across Europe. We are going to be discussing the rights of holiday makers when cancelling plans to avoid the heat wave. Have you booked your holiday? Are you actually thinking about cancelling it? Let us know. 0896 111 111.
I can hear Alan going, no, don't cancel holiday. TikTok. It has given us yet more labels to discuss. This time they've got ones from parenting. So we'll be chatting what it means to be a silky, crunchy or a scrunchy mum. You can't be a crunchy dad, apparently. Just a crunchy mum, is it?
It's all about the mums.
All about the mums. The love labels, love
the
labels.
And we're going to be chatting to the Little Mix songstress Leanne about her time in the record-breaking pop group and taking the leap to go solo.
Does that mean we'll get to hear? Will we get to hear a bit of Little Mix later on?
We will, yeah. Well, her new song, which is good too.
Which is good. No bit of Black Magic from Little Mix. We never know. You never know, Alan.
Never know.
Bit of Black Magic will blast it later on.
Love it.
Yeah, anyway, I can't remember it. The world's gone mad for Margot Robbie, so they're saying, and more especially her amazing arches. Now, the Skin Nerd will be providing tips to recreate Barbie's fabulous feet. Yes, fabulous feet, a little later on. And it's all about Prince on the catwalk, and we're having puff pastry, we're having chicken vol au vents in the kitchen. We all can't wait. We're all very excited about the chicken vol au vents. Derek is in Kilkenny this morning. What are you getting up to in Kilkenny, Derek?
Yes, sounds delicious, Al. We're live here from beautiful Ballycallan down here in County Kilkenny, and following all that rain, and boy did it bucket down yesterday. We have a gorgeous start out here this morning, that mixture of sunshine and showers, especially across eastern and northern parts out there today. Now, obviously, we were down in Patrickswell in Limerick yesterday. We've got a great welcome ahead of the All-Ireland final Sunday this weekend. This morning, we're heading off to Ballycallan GAA. We're going to see what they have to offer. Hopefully, it could be a win for the Cats. It could be a win for Limerick. Will Kilkenny put an end to Limerick's roar? We'll find out later on this morning. But I do have the black and amber on this morning. I did make a little bit of an effort.
Yeah.
Thematically.
Love it. And the sun is shining on Kilkenny. It wasn't so nice in Limerick yesterday.
Oh, that's how he...
it poured yesterday.
That's how Tommy always planned his tactics. How's the weather? Will Ireland win if the weather is good? That was it. Thank you so much, Derek, and fair play to you. Always on theme. I love that he does that. It's time right now to go over to the Virgin Media News Hub for the first time today and say hello to Aisling Roach.
Thanks, Maureen. Good morning. New changes to free legal aid could see penalties for people who make misleading statements in a bid to clamp down on misuse. Under new proposals from the Justice Minister Helen McEntee, anyone who knowingly misleads the service about their finances could face 6 months in prison and a €4,000 fine. Judges will also be able to force someone to make a contribution towards their costs if they have the means to do so. Over €80 million was paid by the state in legal fees last year. The two Irish people who died in an accident in Turkey have been named locally as 36-year-old Owen Fitzpatrick and his 10-year-old son Dylan. They died while on holiday in the tourist town of Alanya in the south of the country after a crash yesterday afternoon. The father and son from Portlaoise were on a family holiday. The Department of Foreign Affairs is providing consular assistance. Heat warnings remain in place across parts of Europe today, as well as soaring temperatures. Wildfires are causing problems for residents in Greece and Spain.
Another heatwave is forecast to begin in Greece from tomorrow. Large wildfires are already burning there after 4 days of higher than normal temperatures last week. Properties outside Athens are worst affected, leading to many evacuations from homes in the area. Planes and helicopters have been dropping water to try to extinguish the flames. A second summer heatwave is also affecting Italy and many other Mediterranean countries. Officials in Rome have been handing out water bottles and information leaflets to struggling tourists. In Spain, temperatures are also higher than normal for this time of the year, with the mercury hitting the mid-40s for a number of days now, raising serious concerns about the impacts on people's health. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
In the US, millions of people are dealing with severe weather too. Heat alerts are in place across the south and west of the country, with many record highs being reached in recent days. Meanwhile, flood conditions have been pushing further into the northeast. In Philadelphia, several people have died after flash flooding. Further north, tens of millions of people are under air quality alerts because of wildfires in Canada. Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested by a federal inquiry into the US Capitol riot and efforts to challenge the 2020 election result. It's emerged last night that Mr. Trump has received a so-called target letter, which would allow him to appear before a grand jury to defend himself before any charges are brought. The former president joked about his legal challenges while campaigning in Iowa just hours after announcing he'd received the letter.
I didn't know practically what a subpoena was and grand juries and all of this. Now I'm like becoming an expert. I have no choice because we have to. It's a disgrace. If you say something about an election, they want to put you in jail for the rest of your life. It's a disgrace.
And finally, in the US, footage has emerged of a bear cub being rescued from a tree. The bear cub was tranquilised and brought down to safety by firefighters in Virginia, with police saying the animal was not harmed in the process. The cub, which had become stuck in the tree, is due to be moved to a more suitable area.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you, Ger, and a very good morning. We're live here from beautiful Ballycallan. We're down here in County Kilkenny this morning, very close to the tip border, in fact. And coming up over the next couple of hours, we're off to pay a visit to Craig Ballycallan GAA ahead of All-Ireland final Sunday. Limerick taking on Kilkenny, of course. So that's all to come right across the morning. Now, let's take an opening look at weather together with Ronan McIntyre with us on cameras once again. And I have to say, following all that rain we had yesterday, and boy, did it bucket down in some spots out there across the island. It's a beautiful start down here in County Kilkenny this morning. We got the black and amber on. We're seeing a couple of showers through parts of the northwest, but elsewhere pretty decent now with that mixture of sunshine and cloudy conditions in that moderate northwesterly airflow. Now, right across the day, in fact, we're going to see pretty decent one in store, especially through the Midlands into western southern parts. Once again, some hit and miss showers. Short showers really intense for a time through parts of the north into eastern spots, but elsewhere that sunshine winning out. And a little bit fresher, a little bit cooler out there today. Top temps in and around 16 to 19 degrees. Across into tonight then, those showers clearing off, dying back. Elsewhere we will see some a little bit of rain scrape the northwestern corner of the country, but elsewhere it will hold mainly dry and settled with clear skies, allowing for some patchy mist to develop. And once again a little bit cooler for this time of year as well, with values back to around 7 to 11 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in a dry and sunny Ballycallan in County Kilkenny at the moment. We'll be back again live 7:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Now, as costs continue to mount and the rift between the board and the builders of the National Children's Hospital worsens, they brought in an intermediary route to try to talk to each other. A group will be discussing what this means for the opening of the National Children's Hospital.
What a fine mess. Plus, we're talking tax cuts and Trump. That's to be discussed. We're going to be discussing the latest headlines hitting the newspapers
slip there.
After the break. See you shortly.
Trump. Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline: higher taxes for SUVs under review. Government officials have said that they may need to introduce higher taxes for larger, heavier vehicles. This would impact SUV drivers the most, but congestion charges are also an option being considered.
The Examiner leads with dying mother urges MRI screening. A 37-year-old mother of two who spoke at the High Court yesterday has urged other patients with the BRCA breast cancer gene mutation to get annual MRI scans.
Town reeling after second tragedy in just 3 months. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Owen Fitzpatrick and his 10-year-old son Dylan from Portlaoise died in a road crash while on holiday in Turkey on Monday. This is the second motor tragedy to hit the area recently, following the death of David Brown, who was just 15 years old, on Easter Sunday.
The Mayor also goes with dad and son killed in Hull's moped horror. Grieving mother Claire Dowling has said Dylan was the kindest boy.
The Sun also covers this story with killed on last day of holidays. Dylan's mother travelled to Turkey last night as police questioned the bus driver over the incident.
And the Star similarly leads with Mum's tears for Hull tragedy boy.
And finally, the Daily Mail's headline, Children's Hospital, another fine mess. As the project costs mount, the breakdown between the builders of the National Children's Hospital and the board of the National Children's Hospital deepen. Ministers admit that terminating the contract, guess what? It would only cost us more money. Hardly surprising. We're now joined by Cait Caden from the Irish Examiner to discuss this rift between the board and builders of the National Children's Hospital. Cait, this is
Hi,
quite
Cait, how are you?
Morning.
Good morning.
extraordinary what's happening between them.
Yeah, no, it just seems like it's one thing after another with the board and the contractor that they're using, BAM. So the latest breakdown in communication is BAM are saying that the reason for the delay is because there's been so many changes to the hospital, and the board have come out and said that there's been no major changes. So, you know, it's just one thing after another with them, you know.
OK, so the builders said that they've tried to change things after the plans, because that's what, any time you're ever building a house, that if you can stick to the plans, stick to what was there, stick to the price that they gave you, it will say like that. So the builders are saying that the government are changing.
And the board are saying...
Well, no, so the board, not the government.
Yeah,
the board have released to Sinn Féin TD David Cullinane, and they have said there has been no material change to the design. We know pre-pandemic, is it 5 years ago now, that there weren't like fittings put into certain rooms so that you could plug things in. Now there's 300 doors that have to be destroyed because they're not the right width.
Yeah.
And the board are trying to bring in an investigative team, Kroll, who are one of the world's largest corporate intelligence companies. It was started by a guy, Jules Kroll, who was a private investigator, essentially. He was like Sherlock Holmes. He goes around the world, does this stuff. They've tried to bring them in, and now BAM won't let them on the site to do a review.
Yeah, I prefer the analogy of, like, it's like two children and the adult coming in to try and sort out the mess, because both of them, it just seems like none of them want to take responsibility for the mess that has become the National Children's Hospital. But somebody needs to figure out who's responsible for the delay. It's also costing a huge amount more than previously expected. It's exceeding around 2 billion now.
It's the board's fault. Like, the board were independently elected to put this in place and to run it. And if they can't keep on top of the building company, I mean, this should have been something that they've been addressed the whole time. To think that it was on the projected 700 million, which was a pretty extortionate number, to go up to 2 billion.
Yeah.
Like, it's frightening. And then I was saying this, so that, like, whatever about well over double the price, at least it was landing in on time, but it's still going to be 3, 4, 5 years late.
And I will say the pandemic happened and inflation happened and materials went up and all that jazz, but at the same time, like, there are problems alone with the Children's Hospital. There's a problem in communication, there's a problem with delivery, and there was a problem with cost before materials went up.
There was a problem way before we've been talking about this for years at this stage. When you're the client, you've done stuff with your house. You're the client, right?
Of course.
Your builder has to engage with you, right? You have to talk to them.
And you deal with the setbacks and the price rises, which absolutely are real world stuff. But at the same time, I just think it's just like getting out of control. It's like, listen, it's like any state building. The Port Tunnel was the same. Anything that has been built by the government, by the state, just seems to, like... contractors can kind of just name their price and it's like, OK, away you go.
And I would expect that more delays will come because we haven't seen specs added in yet. So, like, clear specifications for different rooms, for different patients, what's needed. Like, it's just the bare bones that's there at the moment, you know?
So the board are in control of this, right? The National Children's Hospital, they're in charge of this. The HSE, they can't go in. It's the board that are the client that are doing all this on behalf of us. Because a lot of people are going, where's Stephen Donnelly? Like, just talk to us about what's going on. Can we actually talk to someone? Where is he in all of this?
Well, it is the board that's responsible,
So it's the board.
you know. So, and as you said, someone has been brought in now, Kroll, a big agency, basically a leading middleman to see what's happening here and try and improve communication.
And then even, I'm just reading here as well, that on this state-of-the-art, the most expensive children's hospital of all time, that the helipad for people that are having to come in might not be usable by some helicopters. I mean, like, this is the sort of stuff.
You can't blame the board for that. It's how they've built it. We'd love to hear...
That's absolutely the board. The board are the ones who put the plans together, who put the spec of what's meant to be done.
But they've said that they haven't changed the material design and that the construction company have the one who've gone off and gotten things wrong. They've gotten the spec wrong.
Wow.
That they've the one who've gotten it wrong.
Listen,
what do you make of it?
if you were getting building work done, it's up to you to keep on top of the builder, I would say. But let us know what you think. 0896 111 111. We'll move on to another story. So this is back to home building again. So it looks like government are talking about potentially cutting the VAT rate for home building from, is it 13% down to 9%? A bit like the hospitality trade.
Yeah. So, and with every VAT cut, it's quite possible that it's actually likely that taxpayers will end up paying more money. So around more than 400 million that would come out of this VAT cut. But at the same time, with the construction sector, the whole point of it would be to get more homes, and housing output has lagged behind overall construction recovery. We know that. We know there's a housing crisis. So they're saying that this would help reduce costs and, spark further output. But at the same time, another body, the Tax Strategy Group, they're saying that it is quite likely that they could just pass on this VAT cut to the customers and use it to boost cash flow.
So they wouldn't pass it on to make things cheaper for customers.
Well, you
they
never
would
know.
actually
You don't know. So
but that's what the Tax Strategy Group were saying, that houses could become more expensive in Ireland
that's a risk.
as a result of this VAT cut.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't understand that. So is that whenever the VAT rate goes back to 13%?
Yeah. So if the VAT rate is cut to 9%,
obviously house prices would go down because the builders would be expected to lower the price.
Well, the house prices could actually go up with this. So if they pass on the cost to customers, basically they're improving their own cash flow without.
Surely the government wouldn't give them the VAT cut if they didn't.
But there's no obligation to pass on.
Well, then sure, why would they do it then?
Exactly. That's why we're asking.
I mean, there's obviously they'd have to give the builders.
Yeah.
If you're in the building trade, do you think that someone saying that you wouldn't pass on the VAT cut is like, of course we would do something like that? We'd love to hear from you this morning. 089 6 111
The builder's argument is that they won't do it. So there is the risk there that they will. The builders say, we promise we won't, and we want to build more homes. So, who do you trust? That's the thing.
That is the thing.
It's a good question,
Two major building stories this morning in relation to all of this. There was other things about increasing tax for SUVs.
Yeah, so that's a new thing that was on the front of the Irish Times today. Basically, the government are looking for ways to make back the lost revenues from people transitioning to EVs. So if you drive a big gas guzzling SUV, then you could be hit with a new tax. So the government have lost about 1.5 billion in revenue for people switching to EVs.
For people doing the right thing for the environment.
Yeah.
They've lost a bit of money.
But the thing is, cars that run on large fossil fuels, yes, they bring in tax, but at the same time, any climate measure is going to be expensive. We just have to grapple with that. But it's necessary. Look at the weather. You know what I mean? It's staring us in the face, So, I'd welcome it. I'm sure SUV drivers won't.
What do you think? 0896 111 You're driving a big SUV. You should be paying more tax. We'd love to hear from you today.
Let's go on to our final quick story. So, snubbing your partner to look at your phone could cost you your marriage. I'd say this resonates with a lot of people.
Well, I'm not married yet, but I can tell you it has been an issue. so maybe I'll never get married because of my addiction.
Instead of chatting to your partner or whatever else, you're just sitting going through your phone all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens in everybody's house, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's, I blame it on work, but actually, oftentimes it's not work. It's Instagram reels and just scrolling through mindlessly. And it is a bad habit. It's a really bad habit that people have gotten into, I think.
Sometimes when you pretend it's work and then next thing they can hear the music from the Instagram reel, they're like, we know what you're doing. We would say that this was conducted by scientists. This is proper stuff done by scientists from the Nij Omer Hallastemir University. What a great name.
It's a great name.
Nij has a university.
There you go. So 712 married people from Turkey were asked, and they said that, that they're all just sitting on their phone, not talking to each other.
Yeah,
pubbing. It's called pubbing. Do you do that? Do you snub your partner and scroll on your phone instead? Is that what it is?
Yeah, something like that.
Do you give out about that? 0896 111 We'd love to hear from you.
Coach, thank you very much from the Irish Examiner, Coach Caden. Great to have you with us as always.
Thanks a million. Still to come as the European heatwave rages on. We'll be discussing holidaymakers' rights if you are thinking about cancelling a trip.
Plus, we're going to be chatting about the latest parenting terms taking TikTok by storm. We'll be back very shortly. Now you're very welcome back. As Europe's heat waves continue with temperatures as high as 45 degrees, Irish holidaymakers are being forced to consider cancelling their trips.
Love to know if you are considering cancelling your trip. And here to discuss the heat wave and our rights around cancelling a holiday are travel journalist Owen Corrie and Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather. Good morning to you, Alan. First of all, we start with you. We're seeing this on the news every day of the last couple of days. Greece, Spain, all around the Aegean, like this massive heat wave. What's causing it and when is it going to last until?
Yes, there's an area of high pressure sitting over southern Europe that's creating a heat dome effect, which is basically a very stable air mass with temperatures increasing each day, high pressure pushing warmer air down. Temperatures really not getting much of a respite once that sits there. You know, at the moment, for example, it's kind of eastern Spain through southern France into Italy. Murcia in Spain is going to hit 44 degrees today. There's a red warning there. Then as you come across kind of, you know, south of France, into Italy, Sardinia especially, into Italy, into Greece, into Malta, into Cyprus, into parts even of Bulgaria. You know, there's a Serbia. There's a lot of weather warnings in that area, and you know it will slowly start to move east. So Murcia will ease off from 44 today, maybe back to mid-30s by the weekend. But other parts then around Greece and Turkey, etc., will actually see temperatures increase a little bit more. And it does look like there's going to be very little respite in many areas until really next week. And even at that, it looks like it's only going to slowly ease off.
Alan, we're seeing record temperatures in some areas across Europe, but it's not just Europe, it's the US and Mexico, even across Asia. The heat is getting out of control. I mean, when we're seeing records being hit, and we know, of course, about the threat of global warming, but global warming looks like it's here, and is it only going to get worse, in your view?
Well, we have to be careful about weather and climate because we'll always have heat waves, and we've always had heat waves. The difference is the intensity of those heat waves. So with warmer climate, that means the extremes become more extreme, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing records tumble in terms of, you know, extreme temperatures are going a little bit higher than they were in the past. And as you say, parts of the US, you know, you're seeing over 50 degrees. Again, in China, reports of over 50 degrees. So there's 3 separate different heat waves across 3 different continents. And the big difference is that the intensities heat waves with climate change is just that little bit higher, but a little bit on top of already extreme temperatures makes for these record-breaking temperatures. And temperatures not easing off in the nighttime either. Looking at some of the temperatures this morning, it's already 30 degrees in some parts, you know, at 7 a.m. and 6 a.m. this morning, with some areas not dropping below 25 degrees overnight.
Wow. Owen, I mean, when you're looking at these temperatures around Europe and families bringing small kids or maybe elderly relatives with them, it's a bit of a worry. Do you think we will see cancellations, and what are people's rights if you are going to cancel because of the weather?
Starting with the second question, you don't really have any rights. Discretionary cancellation doesn't even figure when it comes to either the 2 sets or what you're entitled to from the airline, what you're entitled to from travel insurance. It doesn't really fit into either of those. You can get into a situation where we're unable to travel and you get medical opinion and you get doctors, and you can then start that process with it. That'll be with the travel insurance company. What we aren't seeing cancellations. We're seeing a lot of queries, a little bit of worry. We are also seeing people looking to change the date, and particularly the formal travel industry, which is your old-fashioned travel agent and tour operator, where they've more control over flights. They've been quite cooperative with people, saying, "Okay, you can't go. Worried about the heat. We'll give you another date." So there's a bit of that going on this week, but very few cancellations.
And can you do that if you've booked through a travel agent?
The terms and conditions of your holidays are quite strongly against. You don't just decide not to go because, you know, the cat had kittens or something like that. So you don't really have an enormous amount of legal rights, but you have a cooperative travel agent who knows exactly what's going on out there. Remember, Greece is a little bit of a furnace at the moment, but Spain is where we go. We've 30 flights a week to Greece. We've 300 flights a week at this time of the year to Spain, and
300
and 100 to Portugal.
Portugal is clear, by the way. If you take your Leaving Cert compass from your mathematics exam, take it back out of the school bag, and you do a little arc across Europe from Gibraltar through
down the way or up the way?
You put the middle of it in Cyprus, and you go from Gibraltar through the Alps. All outside of that is fine, which means Portugal is fine. Algarve is a trunk route for us.
And lots of
Galicia is
Portugal.
25, Asturias, as Alan says, Murcia, big problem. Inland Spain. What we saw in the previous heat waves in Spain, particularly Eastern Andalusia, gets very hot, and inland around the Ebro Valley, Cordoba, all of those places. The western around the seaboard, the Balearics, hasn't been hot. This is a little bit different. It's very hot in Mallorca at the moment. But the Spanish heat wave is going to peak. It's peaked yesterday, and it looks like by the end of the week it will be cleared off. So this could sort of sort itself out in that the intense heat moves on.
What about tourist attractions of the likes in Rome and Athens, whatever else? Are they still welcoming tourists?
The Acropolis very famously shut down. Now, the big issue is old museum piece things. They're not really built for queuing in the heat. The theme parks are better at it. The water parks are still open. Portaventura, Caribe, all of those.
Burn the feet off,
and they're good at managing the queues. Remember, it's small children and elderly people are the most vulnerable. Very good medical advice available, all about hydration, all about avoiding the sun. But also tune into the local medical advice, because there are local conditions and they're very, very good at updating all the regional tourist
areas.
boards.
Your preparation on it.
Alan, let's go back to you, because we've beautiful weather all over Europe, and we've had just the most horrible last week or so. Are we going to see any respite from this rain and miserable weather here?
Well, there's a lot less rain today and tomorrow, so it's a bit of a 2-day window if you were looking to do something outdoors in Ireland. Some sunny spells today and tomorrow as well. Friday starting off okay, but weekend is looking pretty wet again, I'm afraid, Alan. You know, it's really just a barrel of low pressure after low pressure coming towards us. There's no real break in that cycle into next week. It does look like less showers, but less showers is probably as good as it gets, Alan, next week. So we're probably looking at August, really, to have some hope. And do remember, from a meteorological point of view, August is still the season of summer. It's not autumn. So, look, at the moment, it's really about taking the breaks and finding the sunny spells.
Oh, God.
We live in hope here in Ireland. Who'd want to be a weatherman? I tell you what. Alan O'Reilly from Carla Weather, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. And, of course, Owen Carey, travel expert, as always. Great to have you with us. Coming up next, we've got parenting terms like silky mum and scrunchy mum. Any idea what they mean? Well, they are trending on TikTok, and we're going to be discussing them after the break. You're very welcome back. Now, when it comes to parenting, you might have heard of the terms tiger or helicopter parenting styles, but what about the likes of crunchy, silky or scrunchy mums?
Sounds like a delicious cereal. That's it. Here to discuss these labels are journalist Jen Hogan and psychotherapist Coleman Noctor. Thank you both so much for being here this morning. Now, crunchy, silky and scrunchy mums. These are terms from TikTok.
Yeah.
So what do they mean? I assume that they're just new terms for something we've always known.
Exactly, yeah. They're the latest term. So your crunchy mum is kind of maybe what we might have called an earth mum perhaps before.
Gotcha.
So she's more into breastfeeding and natural remedies and co-sleeping and wooden toys and no additives and, you know, very carefully chosen foods and I suppose much more, as I said, earth mum things. The silky mum is would have medication during childbirth, you know. I mean, how dare she? She might go for an epidural during childbirth.
Sorry, she's called silky because she wants to
silky because she has notions, obviously notions, and wants to make life easier for herself, and she wants, so she's into that. She vaccinates her children. She uses medication if they're sick, normal, traditional medication. And, you know, she allows screen times and allows them to have sugar and things like that. And your scrunchy mum is somewhere in the middle. So she's kind of follows a little bit of the rules of the crunchy mum and the silky mum. So
okay, because the is it crunchy mum? Like, it seems to be, it's like people kind of hang their hat on that as well, don't they? Like, they kind of, I'm proud to,
Definitely.
like, one side or the other maybe, but more crunchy, I think.
Crunchy, definitely more crunchy. I mean, there's a whole identity kind of built on that. There's a huge, like if you look up the trend or the hashtag and you look at this up, there's huge following and huge viewings for that on TikTok. TikTok it is, there. But some of it's kind of taken the proverbial, but there's a lot of people kind of associate their identity with that. You know, they see this as the ideal way to go, parenting, all very natural. And so they deliberately kind of identify with that and choose that path and that way to rear their
And fair
children.
play to them. Each their own, whatever it is that you want to do, as long as you're not putting a child in danger. Isn't that fantastic? Coleman, we're using the term mum an awful lot in relation to this, so kind of talking about heteronormative relationships, and there's no crunchy dads, silky dads who might want to take their child, I don't know, to have some screen time. This is very focused on women, is it? And created by women.
I think so. I mean, labels are interesting. They have a focus of kind of inclusion, so we're all scrunchy mums together. But there's also an exclusion part, if you're not good enough. And parental guilt and mummy guilt, I suppose more so than daddy guilt would be something that we'd hear more about. It is about judgment, and social comparison is interesting. We always say we look at celebrities and we try and emulate them, or we look at people and say, I wish we were like them. But oftentimes social comparison works downward as well. So we like to look down on people and say, well, that the more I push people down, the more I elevate myself, because I can feel some degree of judgment over, oh, you know, you allow your child chocolate, or we don't do that in our house. And there's a humble brag in that, which is about creating exclusion, and it is about competition. And parental guilt is a really alive phenomenon, you know, the idea of we're not doing enough. And I do think mums face much more difficulty in that. Dads are coming on in leaps and bounds, and we talk about them pushing buggies and everything else, being more involved. That's great. But we're nowhere near
pushing buggies. Come on, Coleman. Give us a bit more credit.
That's the narrative. That's the narrative. It is compared to where we were. Isn't it great to see a dad pushing a buggy? Dads are much more involved. Parent-teacher meetings, you know, go to GPs, all that sort of stuff. However, we're still not at a level where parenting is synonymous with mums, I think. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. If you even hear the language, like we talk about working mums and stay-at-home mums. Sorry, you might mention stay-at-home dads because there's kind of novelty. Yeah. So you might, but we don't you'd never be described as a working dad, Tommy. That just wouldn't happen. Whereas I'm a working mum. You know, the language we use around mums is very different, and kind of it puts them into boxes. You know, and then there's even the competitiveness that emerges there between, say, working mums and stay-at-home mums. Who's doing what's best for their children, who has no ambition, who has kind of given up, who actually puts money and work ahead of their children. It's literally this kind of constant competition, and the groups do that.
Women create this competition with themselves, because like when you're talking the Crunchy Mums has over 1 billion hashtags on TikTok, like I can't see the many men hashtagging themselves going a crunchy dad.
Unfortunately so, it is. I think it's largely driven by women, and even like we talk about different competitions or different kind of competitiveness and judgment that happens within parenting. I don't think dads get involved in this at all. I think they're disinterested. I mean, they just laugh at the idea of putting a crunchy dad label on them, but it's very much driven by women. And maybe it's driven by women's insecurities too. They want to find something, they want to do what they think is best. That largely is the biggest driver. They want to do what's best for their children, because it's ultra important to women to get it right, to get motherhood right, probably more than anything else that we do. We want to get motherhood right. So there's that part of it. But then there's that, OK, I want to follow this because this is the best way to do, but also I want to know that I'm maybe doing a little bit better than somebody else, or I'm doing this right because that's the way to follow it. And you see the knock-on effect everywhere, whereas the dads, they don't care.
I'd love to hear from people at home in relation to this, whether in your friend group there is this sort of competitive nature that you have with each other when it comes to your children, and what it's like for men and women. 089 611 111, because I think it's an area that's so fascinating. Seeing how my friends beat themselves up about certain things, men and women, and of course COVID has changed everything. But is there an element in this, Coleman, with increasing urbanisation, about trying to find your tribe? Because we're not village living anymore for an awful lot of people. And you're kind of going, OK, so that person does it the way that I want to do it. I'm going to learn from them.
Yeah, I think we also have an innate kind of idea to be categorised. For years, what kind of mother are you? What kind of brother are you? What kind of worker are you? Yeah. We fill out these criteria and we get this title. And that helps us to feel, well, I'm part of that. They're my people then. Or, you know, and from the point of view, the label piece can offer that tribal cluster. But again, I would worry about the exclusion of that and the superiority of it. But I mean, again, there's lots of good communities amongst parents, like yoga moms or toddlers and tots, things for mums who feel very isolated and can use that. There's a huge opportunity there. But with everything, there's going to be competition and humble bragging as well as an arm around the shoulder, and these dynamics coexist all the time. And even on the dads thing, I was just thinking as you were talking there, dads would have a little bit of that when it comes to sport. So how is David? Oh, well, he's got a medal for this, he's a captain for that, and he's this and that. You would get a bit of that. And we all kind of... But like, you're looking through, and social media again, you're looking at Instagram and say, oh, Jen Hogan's 7-year-old's won a black belt in Taekwondo, and my 7-year-old is still using Velcro shoelaces. That makes you feel bad, and there's that kind of... So it's even not intentional, but it's unavoidable that you would get into that a little bit, and it can create... And I do think, both parents are probably are open to that, or that can happen. So wherever there's an inclusion capacity, there's also a flip side exclusion.
And there's always going to be judgment out there as well, isn't it? But everybody's different. All children are different as well. There's very little you can do about it. Listen, we have run out of time. We'd love to hear from you on this. 0896 111 111. What way do you see yourself as a scrunchy mum or a silky mum or a crunchy mum? There you go.
I'm crunchy, no cornflakes now. That's all I
put the long one on you.
Jen Hogan from the Irish Times, thank you so much. And Colman Noctor, psychotherapist. Great to have you both with us.
Thanks so much, guys.
Now, still to come this morning, Little Mix's Leanne will be giving us the goss on a possible reunion for the group.
Plus lots more. We'll talk to you very shortly on Ireland AM. Hello, welcome back to Ireland AM. Here's what you can expect between now and 10.
She's part of one of the biggest girl groups in pop history. Leanne talks about Little Mix going solo and family fun shortly.
Now, also, whether you have, I'm very excited about this, a grumpy Garfield or a sassy Siamese, all cats come with their own personalities. Don't be giving it already. Alan's over there going, hates them all. We're going to be helping you communicate with your feline friend after 9 o'clock. We're going to have cats in the studio.
It's whether they can be bothered to talk. Okay.
You go sook for a cow and
talk like that for 10 minutes. And we're also going to be dipping our toe into the latest Barbiecore trend. The Skin Nerd will be helping us to replicate Margot Robbie's doll-like feet. I think it's a stunt double. Do you reckon that's actually her feet?
Stunt double feet for that. It's
I'd
so
say
good.
so.
Alan? Talking of, like, feet to food.
Feet to food. The excitement over these since we heard yesterday that Edward Hayden was coming in and he was making chicken vol au vents. The whole place went, what? Chicken vol au vents. Everybody loves them.
Yes, sir, easily, please. Hopefully it will be a feat of success this morning. Yes, here all week. So what I'm going to do is going to make gorgeous chicken and ham vol au vent. So I'm kind of giving you a little bit of retro revisited this
weddings
morning.
of past.
Absolutely. Vol au vents are soup, love.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got this morning.
I love a vol au vent. So you're
I'm using the pastry. Yeah, I'm just during the break now. I'm just going to egg wash these. I'm going to have these lightly baked. I've got some gorgeous chicken and bacon and onion in a lovely creamy sauce with a little bit of milk and cream and stock. So it's a lovely velouté style sauce. Get yourself breakfast ready.
I'm telling you. Oh, we're so looking forward to this. Now, Derek is also gearing up for this weekend's All-Ireland final. How's it going there in Kilkenny, Derek?
Yes, thank you very much, Al. Welcome down here to Grey Ballycallan, G8 Dublin County Kilkenny! There is fierce excitement building here ahead of All-Ireland Final Sunday, taking on Limerick. Of course, Dave O'Neill is with us, chairman of the club. It's a big weekend for Kilkenny.
Great weekend, yeah. Never grows old. All-Ireland weekend.
And a big weekend for the club as well, because Billy Ryan is playing. He's a club member.
Delighted and proud that Billy's taking the field on Sunday. We're very, very proud of Billy.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight match. It is. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Kilkenny never be too far away.
Yeah,
it's not going to be simple, but I have a fancy for them.
Yeah, and a scramble on for tickets as well down here in the club too.
They're like hairs in my head. Scarce.
They're very scarce. And by the way, can we just let you know that you're actually a Limerick man. You're originally from Kilteely in Limerick.
That's right. I got kicked out of there a long time ago, and I've been here for 30 years.
So who's going to win, guys? They're a very confident bunch. Back to you in studio.
Excitement building down there, but now
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you very much, Ger. We're live here in Great Ballycallan GA Club. Come on, guys! We're on across the road. We're surrounded by a sea of black and amber. We're going to be catching up with John Hoyne and Tracy McAvoy. That's all coming your way at 8:45 this morning. Anyway, we're slipping past 8 o'clock here together. Let's take a look at weather, how it's shaping up across the country. And following all that rain we had yesterday morning, and boy, did a bucket down across the island. It's a much different start. In fact, the sun is shining down here in Ballycallan at the moment, here in County Kilkenny. Plenty of July rays now extending across the country, albeit some showers to parts of the northwest now in those light to locally moderate northwesterly winds. Now, as we feed our way across today, it really is that east-west split across the island. We're going to see some good bright spells pull through into parts of the Midlands, western, northern and southern regions. But elsewhere, keep an eye through parts of Leinster, up around northeastern Ulster, where we will see some showers. And once again, some of those leaning on the slightly heavier side. So keep the rain gear handy if you are heading out and about. Slightly fresher, slightly cooler out there as well today, with top temps in and around 16 to 19 degrees. Finally then tonight, that rain dying out. In behind it, we're going to see more showers scrape through the northwest, but elsewhere good clear skies, very similar to last night. We're going to see patchy mist develop to take us through tonight into tomorrow morning, and another cool night in store for this time of July as well, with overnight lows back to around 7 to 10 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in Ballycallan in County Kilkenny at the moment. Oh! We'll be back again live 8:35. We're in Kilkenny. I nearly said Tipperary.
Chill Insurance work harder, so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
I don't know if Derek's going to make it out of there alive after almost calling them Tipperary. My God, it's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, higher taxes for SUVs under review. Government officials have said they may need to introduce higher taxes for larger, heavier vehicles. This would impact SUV drivers the most, but congestion charges are also an option being considered.
The Examiner leads with dying mother urges MRI screening. A 37-year-old mother of two who spoke at the High Court yesterday has urged other patients with BRCA, breast cancer gene mutation, to get annual MRI scans.
Town reeling after second tragedy in just 3 months. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Owen Fitzpatrick and his 10-year-old son Dylan from Portlaoise died in a road crash while on holiday in Turkey on Monday. This is the second motor tragedy to hit the area recently, following the death of David Brown, who was just 15 years old on Easter Sunday.
Yes, the Mirror also goes with dad and son killed in Hull's moped horror. Grieving mother Claire Dowling has said Dylan was the kindest boy.
The Sun also covers this story with killed on last day of holidays. Dylan's mother travelled to Turkey last night as police questioned the bus driver over the incident.
And the Star similarly leads with mum's tears for Hull tragedy boy.
And finally, the Daily Mail covers a different story. They say Children's Hospital, another fine mess. As the project costs mount, the breakdown between the builders of the National Children's Hospital and its board deepen. Ministers admit that terminating the contract would only cost more money.
Yeah, and we have a lot of text messages coming in on that as well. Just
So give us the background on that then. What's going on between them?
So there's basically a dispute. The board are saying that the cost is out of control. The builders are saying, well, you're changing up things. So because you're changing
and then the board saying we never changed
we never
anything.
changed things at all. So there's a complete who do you trust out? Do you know what I mean?
So they've brought in a company called Kroll, who are a corporate investigative company.
Who of course they're paying a fortune for.
To try to come in, settle the dispute between the board and the builders.
Settle the dispute.
Construction, and they tried to gain entry and they wouldn't let them in. So there are an awful lot of things going on. This Kroll, they were involved in investigations into Harvey Weinstein, or for Harvey Weinstein. They've been involved into investigations with Saddam Hussein. I was reading about them yesterday.
So the government have hired them?
Yep, they're one of the biggest corporate investigative
who are
entities.
the board members then that are saying no? We're all good. But the
they're not HSE board.
But do the board not oversee this spend?
Exactly.
Like if this was a private company, the board would be liable.
And they're all
for
there.
This spend.
Like I have them there. Fiona Ross, Mr. Tim Butcher-Hayes. Like the board are all. No, I'm not. I don't mean to. Sorry, I'm just saying that the board are all here.
You can see the board, who the board are. So they're
done.
responsible for this overrun.
And Greg has said this. In my opinion, the Children's Hospital delays and cost overruns are inevitable given the scale of the project and the economic environment. But I strongly believe that responsibility ultimately lies with the board. If this was a private hospital, would the cost really be 300% above the original budget? Nobody in a position of responsibility seems to care about public money overspent. And that's it. It's not their money.
So, but is it the board or is it the builders? Because surely the builders got a price, and if the builders then keep hiking the price up or changing plans...
Builders can hike their prices, but it's up to the board to try and
say
keep
no,
a level
you
on
can't,
it.
you can't do that. Yeah,
exactly.
Kieran said not to defend BAM, but they are only the builders of this project. The builders can only create what's on the plans in front of them. The board are the ones who would have signed off on the plans. I think the board should take on more responsibility for this mess and the fact that it is being built in a massive urban centre.
Yeah.
Like, we're still discussing this. The decision was made ages ago.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in Rialto in Dublin, if you're ever there, I don't know how this is going to work.
Because with James's Hospital there already, the traffic around there trying to get into car parks there and everything. I mean, now with this...
If you have a sick child and you're coming from Sligo to try and get into Dublin City Centre...
It feels like it's going to have to be written off if it ever open.
We were also talking an awful lot about the extreme heat waves across Europe, and people messaging in saying that they might consider cancelling their holidays. But France said, I spent hundreds of euro on my holidays, so you can better believe I am going. I can always sit in the shade during the peak sunshine. The weather has been awful. We deserve a bit of sunshine.
We certainly do. But Ruth says, I booked a holiday months ago, and I am worried about going to Greece. I don't think I can take the heat. If I was booking it now, I would change the location, and that's what people are saying. People are a bit worried about it, but it looks like it's hitting its peak now, and the temperatures will start to go down. But yeah, as Francis said, we all need a bit of sunshine.
Anyway, keep those text messages coming in. Thank you very much for sending in the ones we've already read out. 0896 111 111. Coming up next, she was part of the first ever girl band to win the X Factor back 2011. Crazy. Little Mix's Leanne talks about going solo after the break. You're very welcome back. Now, our next guest achieved record success as part of Little Mix, one of the most successful girl bands in history. And although the group announced a breakup last year, she's making a comeback with her first solo single. So before we chat to Leanne, let's take a look at some of her highlights.
Get your boy on his knees and repeat after me, say. Take a sip of my secret potion, I'll make you fall in love. First love that can't be broken, one drop should be enough. Boy, you belong to me, I got the recipe, and it's called black magic. Shout out to my ex, you're really quite the way. You made my heart break and that made me who I am. Here's to my ex, hey look at me now. I'm on the way up, I swear you'll never.
Leanne, you're very welcome to the show. Now, I have to say, you're one of the most recognised pop stars in the world from your time with Little Mix, but you've gone out on your own. What were the nerves like releasing your first solo single, Don't Say Love?
The nerves were nerving. Yeah, I was definitely, I was definitely quite petrified. But I don't know, I think I had this riding feeling of the fact that I'm so ready for this now. Know what it feels like. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm just literally enjoying every second of it and loving the art that I'm making, and yeah.
Well, you're the first of the three to go out on their own. I mean, did you send the songs to the girls to get their approval?
Yeah, so Jade had heard it at the hen do, at my hen do, so I played it to her. But I was really nervous to see what she was going to say. But yeah, no, she loved it. And then obviously Perry is like, sent me like lovely messages and like been really supportive. I think it's just amazing that we can all be that for each other and like just hold each other through this moment, because it is petrifying. I'm not gonna lie, it really is. I think like all eyes are on me now. Like all this like added pressure is like kind of come into me, but I just feel like we've done it as a group. You know, like we've killed it. Like we've done so well. Like everything now is a bonus. So I'm just trying to enjoy it.
I mean, you've achieved so much as a band over the course of the 10 years. What made you decide to take the break at the height of your career? I mean, did you feel you needed to do something new?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was like a sort of gradual feeling, like as the years kind of, like as it came to the end, it was a unanimous sort of like, yeah, we need to kind of like stop for a little bit. But also as well, like the fact that me and Perry are now mums, like I don't know how we would have juggled that schedule. Like I don't think it would have worked. So it really has come like at the right time. And yeah, I guess it's just exciting to like, hopefully one day we'll come back for a reunion and make a ton load of money.
But even when you were in the band, you worked on some solo projects. I mean, you released a very powerful documentary back in 2021, Leanne, Race, Pop and Power, where you talked about your experience as a black woman in a predominantly white music industry. What inspired you to make the documentary?
I think everything that I experienced in the group with my race and the feeling of not being able to really express it and not quite understand it myself for so long. Like I could never get my head around the fact that I felt differently because of the color of my skin. Like I just couldn't get my head around it. And I think like there were times where I did speak about it and it kind of fell on like deaf ears. Like it's like nobody was really ready to talk about race then. And then obviously like the movement happened. But I think like even like all those years ago, I knew I wanted to do a documentary. And we actually started writing it way before the movement happened and started filming it before the movement. And then obviously the movement did happen. And all of a sudden the whole world is talking about race and like I'm talking to my white friends and like they're researching and like educating themselves about it. And yeah, it just felt like we were kind of like moving on. And yeah, I just think it was really important for me to talk to millions of people about, you know.
And you have such a massive platform, and I know even when you were touring in Brazil, you got to meet a lot of your black fans. It must have been incredible to see the impact you've had on them.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like even so when I was over there in Brazil, like a fan said to me, like, you're doing so much for the black community, and like I'd never heard that before. So it was just like such a beautiful moment, and it kind of just like made everything like, oh yes, like come on Leanne, keep going, like you're doing this for so many people and speaking out for so many people. So yeah, Brazil was a really, really special moment for me.
Well, you've had a couple of special moments recently. You also got married last month to your long-term partner, the footballer Andrew Gray. That must have been a special moment.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. Everything just kind of has come at once. It's a bit wild. But no, yeah, it was beautiful. We did it in Jamaica and I had all my family there and friends. It was stunning.
And were the twins there as well?
They were. They walked down the aisle. It was super cute. Everyone was crying.
Do you get back to Jamaica much?
Yeah, I literally go every year. It's my home. It's my second home.
Well, now that the wedding is out of the way, what can fans expect from Leanne?
Oh, more music. Don't Say Love for me is just the beginning. So yeah, we're cooking up some special things right now, rehearsals for the second single and the video. So yeah, lots to come. Yeah, I guess just watch this space.
Will you be roping in any of the other girls for a collaboration?
Do you know what? That would actually be pretty iconic. Can you imagine Leanne featuring Jade, featuring Perry? We have to make it happen.
Leanne, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us here on Ireland Dem, and continued success.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Right, still to come, we've got a perfect party pastry in the kitchen, and Derek's in Kilkenny gearing up for this weekend's All-Ireland Hurling Final. See you back here in a few.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. We're live here in Greyballycallan GA Club here in County Kilkenny, right across the morning. Coming up at 8:45, we're going to be catching up with former Kilkenny hurler John Hoyne, as well as chatting to two-time All-Ireland camogie winner Tracy Millay. That's all coming your way in the next 10 minutes or so, so do hang with us for that. A bit of a hurling challenge too. As the sun shines down here in Kilkenny at the moment. A pretty decent start out there this morning, albeit some northwestern showers in the driving seat in those moderate northwesterly winds. Now, right across today, looks like showers once again hitting parts of Leinster and in across Ulster. Some sharp, intense bursts for a time, but elsewhere, sunshine winning out through that cloud as we work our way into the Midlands, Western and Southern regions. Top 10s fresher and cooler out there today as well at 16 to 19. And finally, then tonight, it looks like it will be mainly dry to start. Once again, northwestern showers scraping around with overnight lows. Again, cooler for this time of year, back to 7 to 10 degrees. So that's your weather for now. Lots of hurling chit-chat coming your way. 8:45.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Oh,
hello there.
Now we have a French classic in the kitchen this morning.
Edward
and
Hayden.
It's not Edward Hayden. No.
Edward Hayden's making us all very happy this morning. Edward, what have you got for us?
Now, I've got, by popular demand, actually, I'm now taking requests here on the cookery slot. So I've got lovely chicken vol au vents this morning.
Oh,
so I'm
with
doing
no
chicken
mushrooms.
and ham vol au vents. Yeah, I every time, you know, I'm like talking about Derek with Kilkenny and Tipperary. Every time I open my mouth to say it, I'm going to do some lovely chicken and mushroom vol au vents, because that's the thing. But obviously, Myrna wanted vol au vents. You don't like mushrooms, so I've conflated all desires here this morning. And
This is why you're our favourite.
there you have it. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Thank you.
How to last
Until
the test of
Alberto
time.
comes in and he's our favourite.
There you have it. Absolutely. I'm your favourite today. Now,
I love the shirt as well. Looking very
thank you.
summery.
Well, listen, everyone keeps saying to me when I'm out and about, I'm one of these people that I dress for the summer regardless. So I was in Kilkenny the other day and the spills of rain and I had the shorts and the t-shirts.
You
I
might
hope
as
you
well.
get the weather.
Yeah, you might
but anyway,
as well.
I'm a positive person.
Go on,
So
let's get
what
cracking.
I've got is, I suppose the vol au vent is two-pronged. It's the pastry element first. So I've got the lovely pastry cases, which I've just egg washed. You saw me at 8 o'clock. Egg washed them and baked them. So they can be done in advance. They don't have to be hot, because obviously the heat of the sauce
filling.
will warm the
And
pastry
they're the
in
ones you
a
just buy in the
second.
supermarket,
They're
are
just
they?
the ones you buy. Now, I've bought the king-size ones. You can buy the
mini
medium or the
ones.
little kind of the party ones, the little boucher ones as well. So they're
what
kind of
it's
just
called,
a
the
little
boucher?
mouthful.
Boucher.
Absolutely.
There you go, Tommy.
Which is the French word for mouthful. So that's where that came from.
Okay.
Now, so what I've got here is, just during the ad break, I've just started sautéing off some chicken. I'll preface it by saying you can really use whatever you like. So you could put in peppers and onions and mushrooms and courgettes. You could put in a little lovely bit of the Spanish sausage chorizo. You could use some pancetta or bacon lardons. So people can use this recipe and kind of just tweak
So you're
it.
just using chicken and ham then?
I'm just using chicken and ham,
But I mean,
absolutely. To appeal to, I play to the crowd.
But people put mushroom in it just to bulk it out, really, isn't
Often it can be the
It
case.
can.
Now,
like
again,
in a
of course-
hotel or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Bulk it out, less
Stretch
chicken,
the
more
vol au
mushrooms.
vents, yeah. They're on the economy wedding package. Now, so in here, I've just started off with the chicken. Once the chicken has been sealed off, I'm then going to put a little bit of salt and pepper, so a bit of black pepper going in. I'll be kind of frugal enough with the salt, because I'm going to put in the ham a little bit later on.
Okay.
I've just got some onion here. So again, onion is great to give you that kind of depth of flavour, okay? So there's a nice bit of flavour going into that as well. So saute that off until that's nicely kind of cooked down, and that'll take maybe 3 or 4 minutes. For the purposes of the demonstration this morning, I'm just going to proceed ahead. So this is where the kind of the thickening element comes in. So I've just got some normal plain flour. So I'm just going to take a couple of spoons of the flour and I'm going to scatter that in there. And if I can just give you a little look at it, you'll see that it kind of looks a bit unpleasant there. You'll see that up close. It just looks a bit unpleasant. It's a bit dry. So you're drying up all of the kind of the original oil and all of the residual cooking juices of the chicken. And that's going to be your thickening agent. So the flour will make that nice and thick. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the liquids in there. So I've got a little bit of wine. So I'm just going to put a little bit. Wouldn't you love to be out on a party with me?
A little bit.
Lash
A
it
good
in.
glass of wine there now.
Well, I'm always so dubious of saying a glass of wine or a half a glass of wine in a recipe because everyone has a different definition of what a glass of wine looks like.
I tell you, my definition of what a glass of wine looks like is very different to other people.
Glug.
I don't like to waste it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Now, the wine is going in there. Then I've got some milk. I've got some cream. Now, the interesting thing about mine is I'm using a combination of milk and cream. I'm also putting in a little bit of chicken stock, which I think is really nice, and it makes it almost like a kind of a fricassee sauce. So it's like a velouté meets bechamel. So it's just really nice. A bit of stock in there as well.
Chewed on your big phrases this morning.
Just in case you thought I collected the tokens to become a chef.
And is that, but it'll take a while to simmer that down then, will
Yeah,
it?
so exactly what you're going to do, you're going to allow the chicken to finish cooking. So obviously the chicken was partially cooked with my sealing off. And then you're going to take about 20 minutes. Now, what I will say to you, keep it on a nice low heat. I'd be putting my lid onto that there as well. And about 20 minutes, you just need to be careful because once you've put the flour in there, and the sauce is thickening, it has a tendency to take to the bottom of the pan and to stick.
So
just keep a little occasional stir on it. Once that's nearly cooked, which mine was and is, I've just taken some ham. What I'm going to do now this morning, even though I've got some ham in already, I'm just going to put some more. So I've just got a lovely piece of ham or bacon that you've boiled up.
I was going to say that looked like a lovely piece that you've just chopped up.
I boiled it up yesterday afternoon and then I let it go cold and I cut it up. I'm just going to let that heat nicely up. So then I had the ham in there already. So you can see there, it's just really beautiful. You could put lots of bits and pieces in there. Let's have a wee little taste of that. Should be good.
Now, Edward, if you wanted your sauce to be thicker, would you add
you wouldn't like that at all.
You wouldn't like it at all?
No, I said that's what you said. You wouldn't like it. No, you love this.
Would you just add more flour if you'd like, or how do you thicken it up?
Yeah, you would, but I suppose, Alan, bear in mind, you don't want this to be kind of a congealed kind of a mixture. You want this to be saucy because the pastry in itself is dry and crisp.
It up,
so you want it to kind of soak it up. So what I've got is I've got the vol au vent here. I'm just going to
you have more creamier or kind of like thick.
So take that out there. You can either take out, some people take out the little top, or some people squash it down. Yeah, so you can squash it down, depending on whatever suits yourself. Squash it down just to make a little gap or a little cavity. And then I've got my lovely mixture here. Now, this is absolutely beautiful. And I suppose it is one of those classic dishes. And what I always think that's really good about the vol au vents is that they can kind of marry the seasons, so you can have them very happily in summer or winter. You're all right there, Tommy. You're making a lot of little grunting, groaning noises.
Here.
You'd be great on a culinary chat line.
Matt, this is what I need. Go on, fired in, child. We've been so excited of this, Edward.
So it's really nice. In fairness, it is really nice. And as I said, that lovely sauce is great. I
think everybody who's been to a wedding over the years has had vol au vents at some stage.
And don't you always love it? And I've made a lovely, what I'm calling today, I've made a lovely redundant salad. Here it is.
We were saying to Edward, why are you making a salad? We're never going to eat it.
But it's just really nice. Now, again, whilst I've used the chicken and ham, consider maybe using some lovely seafood, consider using... Okay, he won't consider that.
No.
But it's really lovely, and it's one of those kind of dishes. I mean, think of that in the lovely summer evening with a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Think of it with the fire lighting in the middle of the winter.
No, I'm thinking of it with the glass of wine already.
Yeah, absolutely. Should I close up my wine here?
Yeah, close it up, take it back. Take it back to Kilkenny.
It's great.
Delicious.
It's really
just
lovely.
What we needed this morning. Thank you, Edward.
And just before I let you go, if I can just say to you, this mixture that we have got here, if you didn't want to make the vol au vent, put that into a lovely casserole dish, top it with mashed potatoes or puff pastry, and turn it into a lovely chicken and ham pie. So there's a kind of a bit of versatility with the recipe.
Ham pie with the
Will you make it this evening?
Double wow.
No, I thought that, yeah.
I would make it. I will. Yeah.
Okay. Because I have my dinner bought for this evening. Otherwise, I would have. Edward, it's absolutely delicious.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Lovely,
now,
lovely,
after the break, Derek's going to be catching up with... Well, he's in Kilkenny and you're here.
I know what happened.
I know.
I could have stayed at home.
He's past All-Ireland champs. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
after yesterday's fun and games. Derek is going behind enemy line. Are you all right there?
This is
Still
so
eating our
good.
vol au vent.
This is so good.
He's going behind enemy lines this morning because a Limerick man is in Kilkenny.
Yes, he is, even though he almost called it Tipperary a while ago. Derek is live in Ballycallan GAA
I
Club.
almost did, guys.
You did. How are you?
We're right behind enemy lines here this morning. Welcome down here to great Ballycallan GAA Club in Kilkenny. Surrounded in a sea of black and amber here ahead of the big match of the weekend. We're joined now by John Hine as well as Tracy Millay. John, you're back in the final, where you belong, I suppose.
Yeah, the same as last year, and I think expectation last year probably was going up in hope more than anything else, and I think this year there's a bit more confidence in the lads, and I think the experience of last year will help them on a good bit this year.
The road to the final, it was a difficult championship for Kilkenny.
Yeah, probably go back to the Galway game. It looked like it was gone, and Killian Buckley then snatched it at the death, and it probably rolled on, and they went into train the following week with pep in their step, and they went on then to Clare. And
Clare, let's talk about that save, because that probably is one of the best saves we've seen in the championship in a long, long time. Owen Murphy.
Yeah, I think it'll be watched on YouTube for many a year and probably entice a lot of young lads to go and goal and be the next Owen Murphy, but I thought it was in, and I was just waiting for the net, and I don't know, it was obviously the best save ever, and it'll go down as one of the best saves
ever. It will. Derek Lane, it's his first time in charge as senior manager. Good bit of pressure now on Derek to stamp his own, stamp his own authority on the team.
Yeah, well, you can't really ask for much more. He got to a league final, let it be well beaten by Limerick, but to win 4 Leinsters in a row, I know this is his first year, but to get to an All-Ireland in his first year is absolutely brilliant for him, and a new management team as well.
It is. You're following the footsteps of Brian Cody, the great Brian Cody.
Yeah, there was last saying you'll never be another Brian Cody, but all he can be is himself, and I know Derek from playing with him, and he's one of the down-to-earth men you'll find, and he's a great backroom team, and I wish him all the best.
Injury worries, how are we looking?
Yeah, the talk is David Blanchfield, but if he doesn't make it, it's fierce unfortunate to play every minute all year, and I suppose the match up there was going to be himself and Hegarty, but I don't know. I don't know is he going to be playing, but there'll surely someone step in.
Limerick are the team to beat at the moment. Obviously, being a Limerick fan myself, it's a tough challenge. They'll have a fair fight on Sunday.
Yeah, look, Limerick are hot favourites, obviously, and as they do go into every game. But no, Kilkenny going in as underdogs is a good thing, and I think for Kilkenny to win, they'll need to score 3 goals. I think Limerick will pop over 25 plus points, maybe throw in the odd goal, so it'll take...
But you're saying Limerick for the win, basically.
Just to keep you happy.
Tracy, you were a 2-time All-Ireland Camogie winner. You were beaten actually by Cork as well quite recently.
Yeah, that's right. Sure, last Sunday week we took on the mighty Cork in the quarter-final up in Croke Park, which was lovely to be a curtain raiser to the All-Ireland semi-final, and great for Camogie. No, unfortunately, we fell short. We knew it was going to be a struggle this year. Kilkenny, they're just going through a recession at the moment. A lot of the players have emigrated to Australia, and they've gone down their family ways, and but look, they showed a great account for themselves.
Over the last 7 years, the Camogie players have given us some great days out.
They really have, Derek. Like, people tend to forget that this Kilkenny team are on the road the last 7 years, and they were beaten in 3 consecutive All-Ireland finals, which what a mountain to climb, to be beaten, to come back, get to another All-Ireland, to be beaten, come back. And last year we got just reward, and the O'Duffy Cup came back to the marble throne of Kilkenny, so we were absolutely delighted. So
the club here itself, it's a great club. You've a fantastic facility here at Great Ballycallan.
Yeah, look, it's the heart of the community. As you can see this morning, everybody's out and about. The nieces, the cousins, the friends, the family, everybody's here. For myself, there's a very special association. Like my dad, who passed away 3 years ago, he did the land reclamation of this field, so he's the heart and soul of this club. And I played myself and Sinead and my brothers. We all hurled with Great Ballycallan, and now my 2 sons are hurling with Great Ballycallan, so it's great.
And Billy Ryan from here as well, representing Kilkenny.
Billy Ryan, we're so proud of him. We really hope that everything goes well for Billy on Sunday, and it made the best team win.
Made the best team win. Well, speaking of that, we're going to have a little bit of a hurling challenge now. I believe, John, you're going to get into goals there, and I'm going to take a few shots on an All-Ireland winner. Three time, is that right? He's 3-time All-Ireland winner. All right, a bit of a cheer there, guys. Now,
come on, everybody!
You're going to give me a ball here, right? We've got a little bit of music back at base. So this is Limerick taking on Kilkenny. You ready now, John? Have you got a bit of a commentary there?
Yeah, there's no pressure on Derek Hartigan here today from Limerick. Here we go. Oh, number 1. This isn't a good start for John. Come on, John, focus.
Oh, Okay, one. Here we go. Are you ready there, John? This is the third ball.
No pressure,
2 1.
Derek. Oh, the hopping ball, the hopping ball.
2 out of 3 ain't
Exactly.
bad, not too bad.
Owen Murphy won't like that on Sunday, the hopping ball. You'll be happy with that, Derek.
I'll be happy with that. Are you looking forward to the weekend? Have you got a ticket for the match, by the way?
I actually don't. I'm going to ask Dave O'Neill now for a spare one after doing this gig this morning.
All right, guys, who's going to win at the weekend? They're fairly confident. Back to you in studio.
Well done. Tell you what, Derek.
Very good with the old
yellow and black suits him better than the green yesterday.
It looks he carries off green absolutely beautifully. How dare you?
Thank you very much, Derek, as always, and best of luck to both teams, Limerick yesterday and Kilkenny again today.
Good match is all we want.
And speaking of cats, still to come, we've got kittens. We're going to be chatting cat communication, how to understand your furry friends.
I'm very excited. Plus, it's all about occasion wear on the catwalk. There's a theme.
Skin nerd Jennifer Rock is going to make your feet feel fabulous.
The paws, well done. We've got
See you in a few minutes.
Hello, you're very welcome back to the final hour of the show. This hour we have foot care, fashion and some feline friends.
Very excited. There's off camera. First up, Barbie fans are going gaga over Margot Robbie's feet. For foot fetishists, there's never been a happier time to be alive. Jennifer Rock, aka the Skin Nerd, is going to be showing us how to give our little piggies some TLC. Jennifer, what have you brought in?
Literally everything from if you want your toes to look beautiful and pink, to hydrated, if you want your skin to shed like a snake and you want to learn how to file, we'll do all and more.
Yeah, there's one of these products that's one of the best things I've ever used. Yeah. It's so good. We'll talk about it in just
the thing
a
at the
little while.
bottom, the like put your hand in.
That kind of dries your...
Oh, this is so you get like long term, it's like a gel polish that lasts for 14 to 21 days. On your toes, Tommy. You'll love it.
Need that, all right. Yeah, looking forward, Jennifer.
Sick of looking at his naked toes.
Alan, what's coming up on the catwalk?
Well, summer wedding season is in full swing and Justine King is helping out to get you kitted out. Not only that, but just occasion wear throughout the summer, Justine.
Yes, pops of colour, loads of print. We've got these kind of long flowing maxi dresses. We've got some midi dresses. We have some fabulous footwear. So it's kind of putting some colour back in this very dreary July.
And this is a wow on Danny this morning.
It's really amazing, stunning, isn't it? We were saying that it would work for an award ceremony or anything, but really good price points as well. So there's really something for everyone.
Okay, looking forward to that. Now, Muireann's been looking forward to this all morning. You're joined by your furry friend.
I am. I'm dog sitting at the minute now. I'm going to bring these home as well. And
say
cats,
hello to
darling.
Ryan as well.
Cats are often overlooked when it comes to their behaviour, right? Because it's like, oh, you know, cats are going to love you or hate you. Vet Martin Breen will be here with his top tips on cat speak. Oh my God.
I think he loves me.
That guy was freaked out earlier on. Look at him with you.
Got the magic touch.
God, look at him.
Now, Derek is with a different type of cat. The Kilkenny Cats. He's live in Kilkenny this morning. How are you getting on, Derek?
Yeah, I love what you did there, Tommy. Welcome down here to Great Ballycallan in County Kilkenny! Oh, my goodness, there's fierce excitement building ahead of our Ireland final Sunday. Aisling and Will are with us. Aisling, who are you playing with?
Playing Bridget Camogie Club.
And you had a big win recently. What did you win?
Football and Camogie at the schools.
Football and Camogie. Hopefully one day you're going to be playing with Kilkenny as well.
Hopefully.
And Will, what did you win?
The hurling final.
The hurling final. What's the cup there you have in your hand?
The Paddy Hennessy Cup.
Paddy Hennessy Cup. And do you want to play for Kilkenny one day as well?
Yeah.
Where do you play?
Centre forward.
Centre forward. He's going to be scoring goals. Raise up the cup there. Come here. It could be an omen for the weekend. Back to you guys in studio. Come on, Limerick.
Morning, isn't he?
He's very popular and on team.
Yeah,
look, we really thought about all this together.
Yeah,
Did you get a
this
boo?
morning. You got a boo? No, we did not.
Maybe.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. We're live here in Ballycallan GA Club here in County Kilkenny, right across the morning. The sun is shining, slipping past 9 o'clock now. Let's take a look weather-wise at how it is shaping up. And I have to say, following all that rain, and boy, did it bucket down yesterday. We have a beautiful start down here in County Kilkenny this morning. Elsewhere, plenty of bright spells. A little bit of cloud cover, although now we're seeing showers through parts of the northwest, up through the Inishowen Peninsula, parts of Derry, Leitrim not escaping either there into parts of Dromahair and heading towards Manorhamilton in those moderate northwesterly winds. Now, right across the day, in fact, a pretty decent day in store, especially across the western half of the island. We're going to see some nice bright spells, nice sunshine kicking through into parts of the Midlands, into western and southern parts. A couple of hit and miss showers through parts of Leinster, short sharp showers, in fact, through parts of Ulster as well. Intense for a time, but will clear off pretty lively. Top temps slightly fresher and cooler at 16 to 19 degrees. And finally then tonight, it looks like it will be mainly dry to start. Any rain clearing off. Once again, showers pulling through into the northwest as we tuck our way into your Thursday morning. And a lot cooler for this time of year as well, with values back to around 7 to 10 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up for now in Kilkenny. Beautiful sunshine down here at the moment. We'll be back again live 9:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Welcome back. Now, earlier on, we were talking about the heat wave that's going on in Europe. Obviously, we're seeing it all over the news, but wondering what your rights were if you were going to cancel your holiday, as some people said that they were going to do it. And lots of you just going, Mavis like, there is no way I'm going to be cancelling my holiday. This summer has been absolutely brutal. If I could go tomorrow to the middle of that heat wave, I would.
Oh, yeah. But then Sarah said, we've made the decision to cancel our holiday next week because of the heat wave. We're absolutely devastated. But with 3 young children, it just wouldn't be possible to try and entertain them all day in that heat.
Oh,
you said that yesterday.
Sarah, I feel your pain.
Just trying to end, like, if they're really small.
If you're like in a 2-bedroom apartment or a hotel room and you're not allowed outside, like, it would be pretty brutal trying to entertain small kids for that. But at the same time, Coleman Noctor did say this morning, or not Coleman, who was Owen Corrie, did say that
the heat wave, it's peaking now and the temperatures are going to wane off next week.
Yeah, this week, so it might not be that bad. But anyway,
Coleman Noctor might have said it.
Coleman is the man to be talking to.
He can read children, your mind and the weather.
He's the man to talk to if you're trying to worry about actually looking after the kids.
Noctor,
psychotherapist. Yes, we were talking to Coleman about crunchy mums, silky mums and scrunchy mums.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? These are new names for mothers on TikTok. It's a joke.
But it's not a new thing. So a crunchy mum would be somebody who would believe in breastfeeding and wooden toys and co-sharing a bed and all that sort of stuff, where silky mums are iPads.
Do dads get names?
No, it's just mums. But scrunchy mums are the people in the middle. And to be fair, I think most people are scrunchy mums. Anyway, Keith said, I'm a dad who works 4 12-hour shifts a week. Anytime I have outside of work, I try to spend with my kids. Parenting labels add unnecessary pressure and guilt. We're all doing our best, and if it can keep your kids happy most of the time, then you're doing something right.
Yeah.
But there is pressure. There is pressure on parents, and particularly mums, and I think they put it on each other about, whether, you breastfeed or you don't breastfeed, or whether you let the kids sleep in the bed or you don't,
Well, Anne says, I think parenting labels can be helpful sometimes. I think great solace in the mammy communities on Facebook, where I can relate to other women about similar child-related issues. So finding your tribe. There's comfort in knowing there are other people who think the exact same as you. And I've got friends who go on to those parenting groups sometimes and they just go there for the drama. So they just lurk, they don't get involved, and they're just like, okay, just watch these 2 mums go at it.
You see, that's it. That's the drama, and that's why we're talking about mums and not dads, because there's I don't think that there's many dads talking about
until they get to a GAA sideline,
and that's different.
That's a different story.
We've talked about parents about dads on the sideline.
Absolutely.
Now, what's pubbing?
Pubbing is, we have it here, don't we? It's when you regularly snub your partner to look at your phone. That's what you do. So you are pubbing.
Is it pubbing or fubbing?
Fubbing or pubbing?
Pubbing.
Fubbing.
Fubbing?
I don't know. Yeah,
fubbing. We're being told thank you to Aaron, our producer, for interjecting there. Fubbing.
Oh, fubbing.
So there you go. So Grace said, my husband and I are guilty of fubbing. Now we've started making a conscious effort to spend more time together without our phones, especially since we've had a baby, which was a shock to the system, no doubt. It's more problem than ever to keep the connection there. And the funny thing is, I don't miss the phone now. There you have it, Grace. Good on you.
But Aoife says, I see my partner enough of the time. I need a little break every once in a while. No harm with a bit of scrolling on the phone, and then it gives us something to talk about afterwards.
It does give you something to talk about. Yeah,
is that what you go to Lucy? Have you seen... Carl literally comes up to me every day. Have you seen this? Now, he's mad into these. He loves all these
Have you seen these
scrunchy
scrunchy mums?
No, he's always about the dramas and the documentaries. Have you seen this? And I have no interest in any of them.
Oh, really? Give us an example.
Oh, last night it was something about JFK and all this type of thing. Conspiracy theories. Oh, he's totally conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy theories.
I'm telling you.
Well,
I'm telling them more your conspiracies there. 5 for the euro.
Online is a place to go for all of that.
It's like in my Ballyfermot accent.
No. Just the way you said it was quite good. Now, up next, we are talking cat personalities. Yes, this is the thing. And helping you to understand your cat. That's Smiley there. Oh, my God.
Smiley's
There's Martin
blind.
Breen as well.
Smiley's
So we'll be back here.
Brilliant.
That's a cat behaviour. We'll be talking to you about it in a minute.
Oh,
he's off.
He's off. You're very welcome back. Now, cats aren't very well known for their communication skills, and many times they can be simply overlooked as aggressive. Really?
Are you describing me or are you describing a cat?
Doesn't look too aggressive here.
Not quite sure there. Vet Martin Breen is here to discuss just exactly how cats do communicate. And Martin, just to say, we're joined by Smiley here.
This is Smiley. The guys from the DSPCA very kindly brought him over to us. So he's actually looking for a home. So if there's anybody who's watching that they think that they might like him as a pet, they get in contact with the guys and they'd love to have a chat and see if it's suitable. And he's such a smashing
name.
We've got 2 little kittens as well who are here. They're brothers and they're up for adoption as well. They're absolutely
gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Smiley is completely blind.
They're named, by the way, Ryan and Tubbs.
There we go.
They last featured on a Reynolds show.
We were
previously on it. Moving on to cat topics.
Looking for a new home.
We're like, why are we going to do that? Okay, let's talk about cats. When it comes to their behaviour, an awful lot of people just think that cats are a-holes. You know, that they're just not, they're not nice. You don't like cats. They're aggressive and they're grumpy. Is this
That is a bit of a misconception. And the thing is, cats are generally 99% of the time, very placid. They love interaction and they love being petted. And you'd see here now with Smiley, he's such a, a happy, go-friendly cat, and they make a great pet. And when we talk about communication with cats, it's often figuring out what they're trying to tell us. So it's looking at their body language. So we're looking at their ears, how they're holding their body and their tail. So if their ears are up like that, it means they're engaged and they're active and they want to know what's going on. If you had a cat now with their ears tucked back, then we know that they're a little bit more anxious. They're maybe scared or maybe a little bit aggressive for whatever reason. And the tail is the biggest thing. Yeah. So the tail, if that tail is up straight, see the way the fur is nice and flat, that means they're relaxed.
Yeah.
If that fur, and we kind of know the pictures, of the kind of cartoon picture of that hair standing on the tail or on their back, that means they're anxious or nervous. And we can see that tail is up nice and just barely wagging back and forth. It means they're active, they're engaged, and they want to be petted or rubbed.
So, like children, right, or dogs, are cats the same in terms of, like, you can train them? You can, well, not kids, you can't train kids. But if you kind of give them lots of care and attention, you'll reap the dividends from it. With cats, do they not just have their own personality?
Totally have their own personalities like dogs. And every cat then will want different levels of interaction. Some cats will love being petted and they'll want loads of it. And other cats, like people, are maybe just a little bit more to themselves and they'll only want to maybe a small amount morning and evening.
So it's kind of luck of the draw what sort of cat you get.
Look at the draw, and then how much interaction you give them, you'll get a lot more back then as well, isn't it?
When cats go, because that's the thing, it's when you're at the interaction that you have with any sort of an animal or a human or all that kind of stuff. Now, when cats are going around and they're going between the legs and they're rubbing off the couch and the table and the chairs, what's going on there?
That's interesting, because my cat Krusty will try to trip me up. Do you know when they bump off their leg? What they're actually doing there is they're just marking their territory, and whether it's couches, furniture, or you themselves, they're basically marking you, saying, you're mine, and keep away all other people and cats, okay? And they're releasing these little pheromones. They've glands on their face and neck here, and they're releasing those pheromones onto your pants or onto the furniture. and that just marks the territory. So it's a loving feature that they're doing there.
Okay. And what about meowing and even purring? What's the difference?
So I suppose when cats interact with each other, they're not going to meow as much. They might rub against each other. They'll often posture. We'll let Smiley go for a run around there now. And with humans, they vocalise a lot more. So when they vocalise to us, they're telling us they want to be fed, they might want to be let out of a room, or they might want to go use their litter tray. So it's important that owners then realise what those different kind of, vocalisations are for, and you'll only get that by spending time with them.
Okay. And have you noticed this even with lockdown and stuff? We saw that dogs were obviously a big thing, that people got dogs, and obviously people are going back to the office a lot more now as well. Cats. Does it affect them as much because you can kind of let them outside to roam too, isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing, you have to kind of look at your situation. Cats make great pets if you're in an apartment or you're in cities and you don't have maybe a lot of either time or area for exercise, that they make great pets indoors, and the cats will be very content indoors. You can get lots of things like climbing frames for them, scratching posts to keep their clothes worn down, and then toys for playing with.
Oh, and what do you make? Because obviously there is a big movement on social media about the adventure cats, the travelling cats, the cats that are going to the beach and going to the mountains and they're all on leads.
Yeah, that will take a bit of practice getting your cat on a lead.
Yes.
Your regular cat that's used to, especially being an indoor-outdoor cat, which is probably the most common that I'd say, they're not going to be lead trained. So getting them used to a harness and a lead does take a bit of practice. We're all keeping an eye on, on Smiley here. And yeah, I mean, I would just be careful if you're bringing them into strange places, if they weren't used to, a lot of different people, that they don't get frightened or scared. And a lot of the time it's just judging their reaction. So do they want to be petted? Are they reluctant holding back, or are they arching their back? And when you were kind of petting there, they're kind of leaning in forward. Versus if the ears are tucked back, the tail is up, and they're curling backwards, then you'd want to be very careful. And we always say to be very careful if you see two cats fighting. Your natural instinct might be to go in to separate them, but you end up, in the middle of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Leave them fight?
Well, you're better off. They'll normally break up after a second or two. They're not going to keep going. But you'll often get injured if you go in, because you'll be seen as a part of the aggression.
And if cats are quite aggressive?
The other thing, we've seen sometimes is like delayed or redirected aggression. So, say a cat has had a situation where, forever, either a location or person has annoyed them or caused them to be in discomfort, they can lash out later on. So a couple of hours later, the cat might then have a delayed reaction of aggression towards a person. So it's not directly at them. It's of a situation that might have happened half an hour ago if they got in a fight with another cat.
Yeah, they're all affected. And when it comes for an awful lot of people, I think every cat that I've ever had, they were cats that lived outside, and all of a sudden they decided they moved into the house, or they left the house that they lived in, and they're like, I live here now. Yeah. That's the thing that cats can do, right?
Yeah.
When babies come into the house, they'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore, bye.
Yeah, they sometimes can go to wherever they get the best option.
Food, yeah.
Yeah, food option, comfort.
Food and comfort.
And a lot of the time, wherever they're getting the most interaction as well, because they're very sociable animals. They want to interact with humans a lot of the time. So if they're getting cuddles in the neighbour's house more than yours and better fed...
that's it.
They'll go there, yeah.
So what's kind of your advice? Because we've Alan over there who we heard cats are coming in, and, they just have this perception that, I don't like cats. Is it about... They're very loving creatures, and it's kind of about the care and attention that you give to them.
Care and attention, and matching the cat with the environment that you're in. Like, when you have young kids... This kitten is so good. A lot of the time kittens are very active. They'll rough play, which is a normal part of kitten behaviour. Yeah. But if you have very young kids that are, are not, maybe going in too much handling them, and they're rough playing, they're going to get a scratch. But that doesn't mean they're aggressive. It just means that they're developing. So if you get an older cat like Smiley, who's well socialised and used to being handled, he's very unlikely to scratch you. He's just going to sit in your lap and be very relaxed.
If we can get Smiley again, just to let you know that all of these cats are up for adoption from the DSPCA. There are plenty there. Would you go get... Smiley's having the best time strolling around this studio, feeling very, very... I think we could do with a Ireland AM cat. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would just sit on the couch here.
The purring is so beautiful. Martin Breen, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to us about these.
Thank you, Martin.
No worries. Thanks very much, you guys.
And get in touch with the DSPCA. Absolutely.
They're all available for adoption.
To adopt one. Now, lots more still to come this morning, from the perfect pedicure to the perfect prince. Look at that. Love it. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now, sometimes dressing for a special occasion, do you know what? It can be tricky, Alan.
Can it?
It's very hard.
I wouldn't know. I don't get invited to any special occasions. Luckily, Justine King has you covered. She has some beautiful dresses for us this morning. We've seen a few. They are really lovely stuff this morning.
Yeah, I think we're all just so excited to see a bit of colour amongst the grey July that we've had so far.
Yeah.
But we have something for everyone here with these.
I think we should get stuck in because some of them are whopper. Ursula is our first look today.
Yeah, Ursula is out in this gorgeous orange, which I think is just so beautiful with her blonde hair. It does come in a
But
pink...
Ursula's hair this morning. Would you come in early
She's like
to
a
get it all
mermaid.
crimped
She's
up
mermaid.
here?
She's your mermaid core. So this does come in pink and purple too if you're not an orange person, but it is from Irish brand My Kind of Dress. And as you can see, the asymmetric neckline and then the asymmetric hem as well, which we're seeing a lot on the spring-summer catwalks, Bottega Veneta and various different designers. And then it has the pleat across the front too, which makes it actually very flattering.
Yes.
And the little cutout on the side also.
It really works that way in a fan sort of a shape.
Doesn't it? Yeah. It just kind of has a nice stretch to it as well, but it is just, yeah, it just kind of really flatters the figure. And I think we're keeping those kind of mermaid vibes straight through. Yeah.
65, that's
Yeah,
very good.
It's nice.
There's
And
a
it's
lovely little feature in the little
cutout on the side, but you
yeah.
can still wear your strapless bra with that too, because it's below the bra, which I think women are always concerned about.
Very important.
But that is a great holiday one because it's super light as well, and it doesn't crease very easily. With all the pleating and everything, you could kind of roll that up in a ball and bring it on your holidays.
You've matched
too.
the shoes to it.
Yeah, we've gone for the really tonal here with the shoes, and they're from Murphy Shoes. They have a nice gel insole, so although they're super high, they're comfortable. They have that kind of sweetheart toe line too, so they're really nice on the foot. And these ones are great as well, I think, with a pair of jeans. If you just want that pop of colour, dress them up in t-shirt and jeans or whatever for going out for a drink, you don't have to wear orange essentially with it.
Now Ursula has gone into jewellery model pose there. She's ready to go.
The ears, the heads to the side so we can see the earring.
Our jewellery today is all from Irish brand Little Pieces to Love, and they were set up by an Irish mum while she was on maternity leave. These are the vintage pearl earrings you just saw there, and then they have a beautiful little hanging back on them too. And then we have the bracelet here, which is a braided snake chain. We're seeing that snake chain around a lot, but the braided one is really nice for stacking up with lots of angles.
That's a lovely name, Little Pieces to Love.
It's cute, isn't it?
Cute.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, Ursula.
Now,
Now,
Danny,
Danny.
we saw this earlier. This is just beautiful.
It's a real showstopper, isn't it? This again is from My Kind of Dress. Really striking in the yellow. They do it in a black print as well, which would work kind of year round, I think, too. But the yellow for summer, it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
And this, it's lined the whole way down.
It is
You know, a lot
lined.
of the time with these dresses, they're kind of just lined.
Lined the whole way down, so
Oh,
definitely has
wow.
that luxurious feel. I think this would be a great affordable bridesmaid option. If you just had one or two bridesmaids, it wouldn't be too much. And then it has that elasticated back too, so it's nice and comfortable across the top. And then that kind of draped feature, kind of Grecian at the top as well. So it's really a stunning one, isn't it?
I honestly think that is incredible value.
Yeah.
Being double line. I think Danny looks incredible.
If you were going to a ball or any sort of, a wedding or even a black tie wedding, because it is the full length as well. But it has that nice kind of summery edge to it too.
Alan shouted out VIP Style Awards when he saw it.
I sort of said because if the weather's nice, it's just beautiful. And the shoes
So
with
the
it, what
shoes,
did you
we
put
can't
with
see 'cause
it?
they're so long, but I've just gone for the nice metallics. These are a
Alright,
nice
okay.
rose gold strappy sandal. They're going to go with absolutely everything. I do think if you're investing in your metallic shoes, they're going to go with everything. Spending on the real leather is good as well, because it is going to stand the test of time. And again, they do have the cushioned insoles. They've got that little bit of extra comfort.
And the jewellery's lovely here.
Yes,
the earrings are gorgeous with this.
The earrings are really stunning. They're an 18-carat gold-plated double hoop. So then they've got the diamante encrusted detail on those. So they're a real showstopper. You don't need a necklace with this kind of a neckline. So going for your kind of showstopper earrings and the hair up, as Danny has, is the real way to wear it. And then that diamante tennis bracelet, which is just catching the light beautifully, comes in a silver too, but we've kept all of our metallics kind of in those golden tones with this look.
It's lovely. It really is, Danny. It's a knockout on you.
Love it. Now we're going to be surprised by the next two dresses we haven't seen. Kelly's out next.
Yeah, we haven't seen
We haven't seen these. These are new to us.
Oh, here we go.
Pink prints with this lovely dress, and this one is from Born Clothing, another Irish brand, and they've 20 stores around the country and also online. This is that kind of prairie shape, which is a really nice shape. Again, I know I keep mentioning the bra, but it is something that Irish women think about. You can wear your normal bra with your straps and everything with these puffed shoulders, which is great.
If you want to, can you go off shoulder, or would it be a bit too much?
You probably could put that off the shoulder,
okay, yeah.
actually. Yeah, you definitely could. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Kelly.
stunning. And it's a whole new look.
There we go.
Thank you.
That looks lovely like that.
Another great one for holidays. That's a great way to wear it, actually, off the shoulder for your holidays. It's got that kind of elasticated front as well, so a nice bit of give in it, and then that tiered skirt in that beautiful print. They do this in a couple of prints because it is a really nice selling shape for Bourne, and it's by Emily and Me, which is their exclusive label, available in an 8 up to a 20, so nice and size inclusive too.
Oh, very nice.
Fantastic. And it can be casual or dressed up. You've gone dressed up with the heels
We've gone
here.
dressed up, and we're going for the nude shoes, but this is kind of a more modern take on the kind of nude courts we were all wearing for long enough. These are a beautiful leather suede. They're nearly a barely there sandal. If you're wearing a showstopper of a dress, these are a nice simple shoe that won't take away from the dress at all. Yeah, and they've got that little bit of extra support because they have the crossover front to the sandal too.
And the earrings with this?
Yeah, so the earrings, another real showstopper. These have kind of a large diamante detail set in tiny little halo of cubic zirconia as well, and then they are in the gold too. So then the necklace, I've gone kind of for a simple one. This is called the Love Letter necklace, and it has love inscribed on it. And that's a great everyday piece, or for wearing dressed up with this with the earrings.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Cheers, Kelly.
And Ursula's back. Final look.
Yeah, so our final look, and we're keeping it in the prints.
Ah,
this
that's
is
lovely.
beautiful,
So
isn't it?
cute, yeah.
Really suits her. Again, this is from Bourne Clothing, and it's another one from Emily and Me. So it's going to come in an 8 up to a size 20. This style they keep doing in different prints because it really works for women from a size 8 right up to a 20, because it has the covered sleeve too. It means you don't need a jacket or anything with it. It nips you in at the waist. It has a little tie at the back too. I kind of think this one will work right into your autumn as well. It's got a nice bit of coverage, but then with the little heart print, it's really sweet against the kind of leopard print too. So there's loads of colour and detail already going on through
The
this
sleeves
dress.
are very nice.
Aren't they? It's kind of like almost a caped effect
Yeah.
with that. As I say, then there's no need to wear any sort of a cover-up or have to think about that. I've picked up on the bit of colour in the shoes here. Again, they're like the ones we saw earlier, so they have the cushioned insole and then that sweetheart front too, and they've got that little pop of colour. But I do think keeping the rest of your outfit very muted when you've got so much print going on with this look is really key.
Gorgeous. And the jewellery you've gone with this one?
Yeah, so the earrings here, they're called the Showstopper. We've gone for silver in these tones, and then there's the little bit of blue, of course, picking up on that blue stone going through the dress, but they come in a green and then a white stone as well from Little Pieces to Love.
This and bracelet.
And the bracelet, yeah, it's
Bracelet's
catching
lovely.
the light really beautifully,
Yeah. It is
isn't
here,
it?
yeah.
That's the twisted bangle, and then you can see the cubic zirconia all the way around, and that is adjustable, so it's going to work on anyone's wrist, and you could layer that up with lots of angles if you want.
That is lovely.
Lovely looks this morning,
Ursula.
really.
Yeah.
Thank you,
We're dressed
Ursula.
for the weddings.
You're dressed for the weddings, ready to
Yeah.
go. I think we're a bit obsessed with Danny's look today, are
I'm
we?
telling you, all we need is the invites now.
Yeah.
We'd be off.
That's it. There we
we
go. Thank you so much,
Thank
Justine.
you.
Appreciate that. Now, Barbie fans, we all know this. Barbie fans are, or loads of people are going wild for Margot Robbie's feet. The Skin Nerd is here with our ultimate guide to foot care after this short break. Thought more people would have cared about the face, but you're... That's the original. The new one is rubbish. Anyway, everyone is talking about the iconic shot of Margot Robbie's feet in the trailer of the Barbie movie. You've seen it. Look at that. And you might be thinking you're looking at CGI feet there. You're not.
Are these her feet?
Margot Robbie did that all by herself, holding on to a chair. 8 times, boom, there are her
Did she
feet.
say this, yeah?
Yeah, she had to.
Jennifer
Somebody were
Rock
asking
is
her
here
about
with
it.
some fabulous foot care tips to get your feet looking as good as Margot Robbie's. Everybody wants to be feet like Margot Robbie.
I swear to God, for people whose kink is feet at the moment, now is their time to
This
shine.
is definitely
amazing.
a time
you
for
have
them.
to bring the level down.
I'm just saying that's what it is. It's, you know, they're
But we
people in the
all
world. I hope
want
you're enjoying yourself.
all beautiful feet all year round, but I don't think we talk about it a lot. We just talk about this time of the year because our feet,
Yeah, are out.
our paws, as Tommy said earlier, are out. So I think there's a few things that you can do now really to up the ante to have the most beautiful feet possible if you are showing off your feet. But Christmas, like all throughout the year, we should be looking after our feet from top to toe. What do I always say?
What are we going from top to toe? That's right. What
If
are we
you've a
starting
cracked
with?
heel,
Yes.
why do you get cracked heels? Is it just because of dryness?
Ultimately, it is dryness, and it tends to come around the heel, as you say, but also on the ball of our foot, or you get callus on the kind of the little baby toe. Like you get it all over, and we do tend to neglect our feet. We genuinely do. So we tend to look after from the collarbone up and then rush coming up to our summer holidays to look after feet. Now this one is an interesting one. So this is our Fixology Cracked Heel Balm. Really affordable, lasts a really long time. You only put it onto that cracked area. This has alpha hydroxy acids and urea in it. So we know how much I love my alpha hydroxy acids for the face. It's the same premise but on the feet. So it lightly, slightly exfoliates whilst it's on. Really lightweight. You can try it if you like, but it's really lightweight. It's kind of like and it's not sticky. Obviously, you don't need it for your hands because your hands are just beautiful. But it doesn't.
Sticky,
Some of them can be quite sticky and tacky, and you feel like you can't walk around the house when you have them on. I always say to put your own socks on after. That definitely does make a difference. But this is for someone who feels that they have. If you're looking at your feet, you're not sure what category you fit into. We would divide it into 3. So slight dryness, like I live in my bare feet or heels, one extreme or the other. So I definitely will always have dry feet. This is great if you kind of have medium to dry cracked, where you're putting on a sandal and you look at the back of your heel and you can see that skin kind of.
And if it gets very cracked, is that have you got a problem then?
So,
you should sort of.
Great question, Alan. Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of where the aesthetic side, if you feel like you need a podiatrist or whatever else, absolutely do seek counsel. Now the next one is more so. This is your Boots Pharmaceuticals Cracked Heel. This is for someone that doesn't have quite as dry, just a little bit aesthetic. You feel like they're a little bit rougher. You put your feet into your sheets. Am I the only one that does this at night and you can hear your feet going down?
Yeah.
Just me. So it's when Alan, you said baby soft feet. You must use all of these. But when there's a little bit of friction there because it's dry but it's not cracked. So the first one for cracked, the second the second one then more so when you are not as cracked, just more so the dry. Now Yonka, there's no secret to how much I love this product. And open that up and give it a little whiff, right? So first up, what you're essentially smelling is mandarin and sweet orange. There's 2 exfoliation scrubs in there, but why I like it, so I would do this before I get into the shower. So I'd have my feet maybe a little bit wet, or if I'm doing it at the beginning of the shower, or just before I get into the bath. So this is kind of your more maintenance every day. This is when you just have a little bit of dryness, or I don't know if you find this wearing, but my tan would stick to my feet. So this is generally ideal because it has
in
the
the
scrub.
bath and then put your feet up, put them up.
That sounds very Margot Robbie and Barbie-like, if you will, and I love it. But essentially with the Yonka, what's beautiful about it is that it has oil in it. So it really hydrates the skin while sloughing off those dead skin cells. Smells divine, feels beautiful, can use it all over, and it's great for the cuticles because we always talk about our heels, but we don't talk about the dryness of the cuticles, and that really does affect the aesthetic finish.
And it's a sugar scrub.
Sugar scrub,
lovely.
Sugar scrub.
Okay, come at me.
What am I going to do with this?
Okay, so this potentially could look like a weapon, but I promise you it's not. Alan, get out your hooves and I'll show you exactly how to use it. So this I do want people to be careful of. This is your Scholl, it's your 2-in-1 electric foot file system. You can use it on wet or dry feet. So to answer your question, before the shower, before the bath, or whilst in it, I use it whilst in it. How do you know how to use it? You literally press it on as you did there, you just press down, and it's got a rotatory blade to it, but it's actually quite gentle. It sounds aggressive, I promise you it's not. When you're doing it, so say it's the back of the foot, you literally, if you have the callus along this part of the foot, along the bottom here, you'll always file against.
Can you see this?
Against that callus.
Hold on, we get a shot of it. There we go.
Exactly, and it's as simple as that. It really is. Where that's brilliant for is the ball of the foot as well.
And all the dead cells start coming off.
Alan, this is where, back to what we were saying at the beginning, this is almost fetish-like because you see the dry skin just like flay out into the bath. It's very sexy. Maybe clean your bathroom afterwards.
I don't see anything sexy about that.
Oh my God, the sensation! The sensation or the result.
Exactly.
The result is phenomenal. And it's really quick, 2-3 minutes, and you see such a difference with it.
Can we move on
with moisture.
to these?
This one you are in love with.
About this.
Footner. Right, talk to us about why you love it. I'll give a little synopsis first. So essentially, this is more like a treatment where these are more regular and everyday occurrences. This is more so, okay, I'm going somewhere, I really want my feet to get a true thorough home treatment. Footner. So essentially, it's a box, as you can see. Inside, you get 1 pair of socks, 1 for each foot, as you can imagine.
They're inside
Open it up. There's lots of ingredients in there that essentially break down the hardness, but how do I describe this? So you put them on, Alan, you take them off a couple of minutes later, you sleep in them at times as well. You can massage it in, but then 10 days later, if you want to see every little bit of dead skin cell come off that foot, this is the answer.
It will take 10 days.
10 days, but it starts to shed. There's something quite satisfactory about it. So this is really only for someone who doesn't have...
So you wouldn't want to be doing this going on holidays or anything like that?
No, you have to have it done before.
Yeah, because I was going to say that on holidays you'd be shedding skin at the pool all the time.
You do need your SPF on with it because it really is shedding off quite a lot. So where these are slightly more respectful, this is more for someone that does have callus. They're not quite at the medical stage, of course, but they really have an awful lot. So someone like myself who wears heels a lot and are their flat feet the whole time, unbelievable. Genuinely
if you do it when
unbelievable.
you've got fake tan on and then it takes off all your fake tan, you've just got a line around your ankle. It's fascinating.
But what's interesting is because a lot of people don't like the exfoliation or the scrubbing, but this is just put the socks on, let it work, massage it in, take them off, wash the product off properly, and then 10 days later it'll just do its own work for you. So it's very minimal.
We have an instant pedicure.
So Lisa has one for my, you know how much I love this for face. I wore their face version on my flight going away 2 weeks ago. This is their feet product. So they have two. They have one that's peppermint. The one I have here today is Rosy Toes. It's such a cute name, isn't it? So you've one for each foot. So when you've exfoliated, the skin is kind of, the sloughed off element is done, and you really want to infuse
hydration.
It's like a plastic
bag with loads of liquid in it.
So this is when you're sitting down watching, maybe not in the cinema, but when you're watching a movie. But I put them on at night and just watch my Netflix episode, read my book, whatever, and you take them off, and your foot does feel quite hot with it, but you take it off, massage the rest of the extra product into it. There's aloe vera in there, hydrating ingredients, and you just massage the rest in, and your feet are glistening. So just be careful. Don't try to walk around with them. I have made that mistake on tiles. Just be careful.
All right.
That you do. So it's got rose oil, it's got your beeswax in it, really hydrating. So really more so when you've done the exfoliation.
And then when that's all done, if you want to look pretty.
Miriam, take that little one there that I have behind. So this is an amazing brand. It's such a clever concept. On my hands, I've got so much product. I don't need you to be my model. So there's 400 shades in this. This is the
Barbie pink.
This is the Barbiest pink you've ever seen. This is the 14-day manicure. It's a beautiful Irish person, Suzanne Fowler, created in 2012, I believe. She was getting her hands done. She loves getting her products, like her hands and her feet and so on done, but it's not always the most time efficient.
Very pink.
This is Barbie inspired this. They brought this out specifically for the Barbie movie. They've actually got 400 different shades. Now, the starter kit is incredible. So in the starter kit, you can see below I have the lamp. So you get your cuticle, which you were looking at.
Dry your toes afterwards.
Exactly. So the cuticle weapon, as you like to call it, Alan, but it's a really interesting tool. So it's your cuticles. You do that first. You prep the nail with your little file. All of this comes in the kit. Then you have your base coat. You have all of the different colours that you may choose to use.
You have all the different pinks here.
And then you just put it in. It's dry in 2 to 3 minutes. So really, it's extremely affordable. You get 120 uses out of it. It's so much more affordable than those. $89.99.
And you keep this, and that's the thing that will go the whole time.
Yes, exactly. So you have your lamp indefinitely, and the product lasts so long. You have all the different choices of colours. Your nails look fantastic. They don't damage the nails, and you get 2 to 3 weeks out of it.
Anyway.
And with your feet, because your toenails grow slower than your hands, you're getting a good 3 to 4 weeks out of it.
No-brainer. Grow slower than
much slower, nearly 12 months it'll take from the nail to go from the base to the top. So this, genuinely, for €80 odd, the sake of two, it's almost the price of 2 applications in a salon, plus it's salon professional credibility.
Thank you so much. Tommy, we have them all for you here now. You can put them on later.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for that. Now, that's all we have time for today. Tomorrow's show, we're going to be hyping up the girls in green ahead of their opening World Cup match. I cannot wait for that. And from the girls in green to green fingers, we're making dried lavender wreaths. And also, if that's not enough, if green's not your colour, return things pink. Kaylee Cashell's going to be here with a makeup look inspired by Barbie.
Of course it is.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great day. See you
7.
tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Come on, the girls in green.
Bye.
It's going to be a good one.